and welcome back to my channel. So in case you were unaware, May is officially Mental Health Awareness Month. And although I like to keep things very bright and vintage and rose-coloured on this channel in general, I did want to do a video about this very important topic that is very close to my heart and just make something related to the concept of mental health and mental health awareness. I do have to start off by saying that unfortunately, if you clicked on this video hoping to receive all of my life's sob stories and a shocking mental health diagnosis or anything in fact personal about me, then you are going to be sorely disappointed. This video is not going to be about me or any problems I may or may not have in any way, because one of the most important things that you can know about your mental health is that it is nobody else's business. Whether you have mental health diagnoses or whether you don't, whether you are on a journey to getting diagnosed or beginning to suspect that you might have a problem that you would like to help smooth out, anything like that, whether you are medicated, unmedicated, in therapy, looking for therapy, coming out of therapy or not interested in it in the slightest, is nobody else's concern but yours, and you are under absolutely no obligation at any point to tell employers, friends, family or romantic partners about your mental health diagnosis or treatment. No matter how open or ashamed you might be feeling about it, no matter what end of the spectrum of mental health acceptance, your medical information is always your right to privacy, and you should never ever feel pressured to reveal it to anyone but trusted professionals and any trusted family members or friends that you feel like you would like to give that information to. Obviously, there has been quite the shift in mental health services, awareness and acceptance over the last 70 to 80 years. Starting out with the era that I look like I should be from, the 1950s, they held a massive stigma around mental health during this time. Insanity was considered to be an incurable disease, and people who had mental health struggles were branded as lunatics or defective, or if you were a woman, hysterical. Jessica Calgren-Fozard has a really interesting video on the history of medical hysteria, which I will link in a card. But people were not treated kindly, compassionately or humanely, and there were a lot of horrible mental health treatments. Well, not even treatments, they were cruelties rather than aimed at making you better, that people were subjected to in institutions or asylums, which was generally where you ended up if you were diagnosed with mental health problems that couldn't be controlled or swept under the rug, especially if you didn't have access to money or status. The very first major multidisciplinary conference surrounding mental health took place in Oxford in 1952. It brought together a range of experts from all different medical fields, trying to discuss the topic of mental health and how it could best be treated. The Mental Health Research Fund totally radicalized the system by beginning to award research grants for the study of mental health in 1955. Today, I don't want to do anything too depressing or too serious. I just wanted to give you a few pointers, offer you some kindness and compassion, and just give you a few little mental health reminders that you might need during this month of awareness. The first thing that I want everyone struggling with any kind of mental health problem, I don't care what it is, how insignificant you may feel it is, how totally earth-shattering, how weird or abnormal or out there, you have nothing to be ashamed of. Mental health can be an incredibly frightening thing for both the person who suffers with it and also for their immediate support system, if you are hopefully lucky enough to have that. And it can be incredibly traumatizing going through the process of trying to get diagnosis and kind and compassionate treatment. And you may be told by society, by the caregivers or people closest to you, that there is something terribly wrong with you, or that you are a freak, or that you are lazy, or that you are making it all up, or that it is all in your head. And I want you to know that these things are absolutely not true. You are sick the same as a person with a broken leg is sick, the same way that a person with a long-term physical chronic illness is sick, the same way that a person with a flu is sick. There is a chemical or hormonal imbalance in your body that is causing an issue that can manifest with both emotional, psychological, and even physical symptoms. You do not have to feel ashamed of that, I promise you. It can be very, very difficult if you were raised with the idea that mental health is all a newfangled idea made up to justify laziness, or to get people out of work, or that one simply has to pull oneself up by one's bootstraps and man up and get on with things. The phrase pulling oneself up by one's bootstraps was actually originally intended to ridicule the idea that you could pull yourself out of your problems. It is physically impossible to get out of a pool of sticky mud by pulling up your own boots. You need someone else to reach in and give you a helping hand. And that is absolutely true no matter what mental health problems you are going through. The second thing I want you to know is that therapy is not a waste of time. It can take a very long time for you to find the right kind of therapy for you, as there are many different kinds, and I am not an expert. I am not a psychologist, psychiatrist, or mental health or medical professional of any kind. So I would highly recommend doing your own research, particularly with regards to your own local charities, systems, and healthcare options for your own country. But there are lots of different options for different kinds of therapies depending on your mental health condition, and you need to find the therapy and the therapist that is right for you. A therapist is someone who should make you feel safe and supported, and it can also take a very long time for you to feel comfortable enough with your therapist to be able to open up, particularly if you have a lot of trauma or you are used to masking your mental health and your symptoms, or if you've had traumatic experience with medical or mental health professionals in the past. Therapy will not work in 1 or 2 sessions. You will not walk in and skip out with all of the necessary serotonin now in your brain and all of your trauma and your symptoms and your issues and your maladaptive behaviours neatly packaged away into boxes that say signed and sealed and sorted. That is not how it works. Particularly if you have been denied therapy treatment for whatever reason. I know that especially if you don't have access to private therapy because it can be very expensive, then waiting to get therapy on the NHS in England can feel interminable. So the longer that you've gone without treatment, particularly if your mental health is spiraling down or very severe, then the longer it will take to rewire your brain, your behaviours and your thought patterns to something that is healthier and better for you. Therapy is a journey. It is not a one-stop fix-up shop. It is not a mechanic. It is a restoration process, not a quick fix. Similarly with medication, there is absolutely nothing wrong if you feel that you need some form of medicative, is that a word? If you need some form of medicinal help, oh my goodness gracious, I cannot talk today. If you feel like you need some form of tangible medicinal help to regulate your hormone or your chemical levels, to help the other things that you are doing to get better be more receptive, like to help yourself be more receptive to all of the other things that you are trying to improve, if you need a form of medication for that, then no one is allowed to shame you for that, and you should be granted whatever you need to help you get better. Whether you are on medication is also nobody else's darn business, and you do not have to let anyone know if you are taking medication or if you are not, especially if you think that their reaction might be hostile, or if they will tell you that all you need is to get outside and hug a tree. I am a big believer in the restorative power of nature and sunlight and vitamin D and going out and getting gentle exercise like long walks to really help your mental health. However, I do understand that those things are incredibly difficult to do when you are deep in the throes of mental health crises, no matter what you are diagnosed with. So having some form of medicinal help to take that edge off can be an absolute lifeline for a lot of people. If you are someone who would like to find a community, then there are so many spaces online for different kinds of mental health help, no matter what you have, whether you are struggling with something like an eating disorder, whether you are struggling with one of the more stigmatized disorders, because whilst we believe that we have made a lot of progress regarding mental health, and we definitely have, there are still a lot of disorders that are much more highly stigmatized than others. For example, things like borderline personality disorder, schizophrenia, bipolar, other sort of psychoses and personality disorders that lead to a lot of outbursts. And if you are suffering with those things, then you definitely deserve to find a support space where you feel understood and you feel able to talk about maybe the more upsetting or difficult to manage things with people who understand it. Remember that you always need to try and be kind to the people around you. If you are a support system of someone, especially if they are having incredibly severe mental health issues, that can be very difficult and draining, particularly if they have mental health issues of their own. That does not mean that you shouldn't reach out for help, especially if the person is telling you that they want to help you and they want to be around it. But it is very good to make sure that you can set clear boundaries, and once those boundaries are set, then you need to stick to them. Maybe you can't be around 24/7 for them for messaging, but they can call you a few times a week. Maybe they are happy to go around and sit with you whilst you do your laundry, but then they will need a day or so to be away from you and to work on themselves. Whatever the boundaries are for you as a person with mental health or a support system, then you need to make sure they are clear, understood and respected at all times. Mental health is an incredibly tricky subject, and it is never going to be something that I think we can all agree on. Everyone's experience with it is slightly different, even if there are two people with exactly the same diagnosis, and that is what can make it so difficult. But one thing that I really did want to stress, and if you take one thing away from this video, then I really hope it's this, is that if you're going through something right now and you feel like there's no point in going on and that this is just going to be your life forever and that nothing is ever going to improve, then I see you, I understand you, I empathize, and I have nothing but the greatest compassion for you, and you are wrong. This will not be your life forever. You can and you will get better. There will be people who are willing to help you, whether they are medical professionals, whether they are advocates within your immediate bubble of humans, whether it is someone online who lives 3,000 miles away. There are always people who love and care and respect you, and you will not always feel this way, and you will see the light again, and things will get better. It won't be all at once. It may be a couple of steps up and then a step back down. The journey will not be smooth. You may sometimes feel like there is no point, but I promise you there is, because there'll be a day where you will think that you haven't made any progress, and you'll look down and you'll realise that you've come halfway up the mountain without even realising, and those darkest days will be behind you again. I'm getting emotional now. Oof. So whilst I don't know if this video was particularly helpful, it is just one that I really wanted to make. I will leave some of the links for people who can help you if you are in serious trouble. Remember that you can always call helplines like the Samaritans, I will leave their number in the description, and organisations like Mind, and there are always options for people who are in distress. Mental health is vast and complicated, and I would like to encourage everyone who thinks that they have a mental health problem to seek out help, whether it is, you know, something you consider to be very small, or whether it is something that you have been bottling up for a really long time. You do not have to be on the edge to look for or to deserve help. Everyone is deserving of help, no matter how sick they believe you are. And part of the problem with mental health is that even if you're in literal crisis, you will not believe that you are sick enough to deserve help, and I promise you that you do. You do not have to be standing with 1 foot off the ledge to be deserving of help. In fact, the earlier you can get help, the easier it is to make sure that you never get onto the ledge in the first place. That is all for this video. Please just be kind to yourself and to others, and reach out and form a support system for all of the people that you love. And remember to take care of yourself above all others. Do not martyr yourself for other people. And I love you all so very much. I hope that this video was something. I hope it was helpful. I hope it made you happy in some way, or inspired you, or just gave you a little push to go out and seek the help to get better, because you deserve it. And please remember to have courage and be kind, and may all of your dreams come true, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!